executive. I mean, these remarks are very worrying.
So, do you think the kind of failure of one country, two systems, is because of its internal flaws, or is it because of the people who operate it?
Well, I'm a very positive person. I always like to think that people can change things, and therefore I would not say, well, one country, two systems is a failure. All I can say is that, well, you can increasingly see one country, one system, and you can increasingly see the interference. But I really think it's very much also up to Hong Kong people and how we in Hong Kong feel the importance of defending two systems. And that's why I always try to explain to people that it's not an argument about which is bigger. The one country, of course, is big. I mean, there's no doubt about this. But it's the question is really Hong Kong people are determined, vigilant, really concerned enough to be able to stand up for Hong Kong way of life. And so in year 2003, when Hong Kong people came out in large numbers to oppose the Article 23 legislation, that in fact was a way how we can have one country, two systems. And again, every time when we read about injustice in the mainland, for example, and in Hong Kong, prosecutions which are tainted with political reasoning or motives and so on, I think Hong Kong people ought to be vigilant and ought to stand up and say no. Then this is the way that Hong Kong people can defend the two systems. It's very common for Hong Kong people to feel, oh, I'm a small potato, there's nothing I can do. And every time I get an email saying, well, I'm a small potato, I write back, an email, and I say, look, democracy is about small potatoes. And if you don't stand up for your right, if Hong Kong people don't stand up for the two systems and preserve the Hong Kong way of life, then of course, well then, we're bound to become more and more another mainland city, and it will be more and more one country, one system. And in a way, I feel that Hong Kong people actually has a historical mission, because you can look at one country, two systems the other way, and which is, well, why is it 50 years? And it's probably a belief that at the end of the 50 years that mainland cities are becoming more like Hong Kong, more open, more international, in the sense that we get plugged into the rest of the world, and human rights, freedom, democracy, they are absolutely consistent with the one country. I mean, it doesn't mean that if Hong Kong or the mainland have democracy and therefore you no longer have the one country. Democracy does not threaten the one country. Human rights does not threaten the one country. In fact, it makes the city, it makes the country more harmonious, and that is the reason, and that is the way that we should, look at these things. And therefore, every citizen in Hong Kong has a duty to make sure that the one country, two systems work so well that other mainland cities are going to follow suit. They're going to follow our rule of law, follow the fact that we respect human rights and freedom, and every other mainland city will become more like Hong Kong, and then you don't have to worry what's going to happen at the end of the 50 years.
One final question: do you think a one country, two system solution can be applicable to other parts of the territory in China, such as Taiwan or even Tibet?
Well, the one country, two systems concept, it was said that was originally created as a sample or a precedent for Taiwan. But of course, now that we have practiced this concept for over 10 years, it clearly is not an example for Taiwan. I think if you look at the Taiwanese people, they will tell you they really actually poo-poo the one country, two system concept. They don't think that's the kind of system they want. So it actually hasn't really worked for Taiwan. But whether it will work for Tibet or Mongolia or other regions, I think it's a little bit difficult at this stage to tell, because it hasn't actually been working very well for Hong Kong, and but then I don't think that's the end or the final chapter. I still think that, you know, we're still evolving in it, that the 50 years has still got some time to run, and therefore it's really up to Hong Kong people to make it work. And also it's not just Hong Kong people, because for mainland cities you have to understand they also have the internet. They also have a lot of mainland students in particular coming out to Hong Kong, coming out to the rest of the world, and therefore they are also tuned into and sync with the rest of the world. And so China is also opening up, the younger generation is also opening up. They're more exposed to a lot of the international values and universal truths that we're familiar with. It's very unfortunate that we see incident like Liu Xiaobo was imprisoned for 11 years for writing the 08 Charter, which really is, you know, the sort of thing that the basic law writes about. And therefore you can hear with the Liu Xiaobo imprisonment in Hong Kong, see the huge difference between the two systems. And we hope that as China opens up more, and as Hong Kong people also try to be more concerned and more vigilant about, you know, imprisonment cases like Liu Xiaobo, and also a lot of the human rights lawyers in the mainland, that gradually there is an emergence somehow. So we still got some time to run for this 50 years.